Greetings, I am Ebervalius, and this is an introduction to Old Tupi. Now some of you might be asking yourselves, what exactly is Old Tupi? That's a good question. When the Portuguese arrived in coastal Brazil in the 16th century, they found out that the vast majority of tribes in the territory spoke different dialects of a single language. Today, we know that language as Old Tupi. In the earliest Brazilian colonial period, Old Tupi served as a lingua franca both to mainstream colonial society and to the natives themselves. Well, shortly after that, it was replaced by a small group of daughter languages known in Portuguese as línguas gerais. Collectively, these languages were fairly widely spoken, perhaps even more so than other classical languages in Latin America, such as Nahuatl in Mexico, Quiché in Guatemala, and Quechua in Peru. Unfortunately, unlike these other languages, Old Tupi and the línguas gerais virtually fell into oblivion due to the language policies of the Marquis of Pombal in the 18th century. As a result, today it has no native speakers and is very little known to the general public. It's different from, say, Nahuatl, for example. Many people have at least heard about Nahuatl, the official language of the Aztec Empire, right? But that's not true for Old Tupi. Hopefully that's about to change. However, a little known fact is that Old Tupi has left its marks well beyond South America. An example would be the various loanwords in the English language that are of Old Tupi origin, like the word jaguar or maraca, for example. There are also scientific names that are Old Tupi in origin too, like the pterosaur genus Tapejara from northeastern Brazil, or even the European similar genus of pterosaur Irapejara. The suffix jara comes from Old Tupi word yara, which means lord. Who would have known? The purpose of this video series is to offer minimally decent learning material for those of you who are interested in learning Old Tupi. Well, in fact, speaking of learning Old Tupi, it is very similar to the Guarani language, which is still spoken in Paraguay today. In fact, they are more closely related than any two European languages, well, major European languages at least, spoken today. So if you are familiar with Guarani, well, that's good news. You will find this fairly easy. Today's class is about phonology, and we'll basically talk about Old Tupi phonemic inventory. Well, let's get started by the most obvious letter, which is letter A. It always sounds like ah, as in the word ai, which means sloth. And when you put an acute accent above any vowel, it means the vowel is stressed. Okay, now let's go. There's a nasalized version of the letter A, which is pronounced Basically, you must pronounce the letter A while you exhale the air through your nose, as in the word sumaran, which means enemy. Okay then, next letter is B. Well, letter B is a little bit tricky because it's not a B like the B of Portuguese or English. It's like the Spanish B, which is a fricative. That means you don't make a stop in the airflow. You must pronounce it like in the word navidad in Spanish. And an Old Tupi example would be the word ubera, which means tree. And then there's letter E. Letter E is always pronounced eh, as in the word anena, which means a species of horned beetle. And we have a nasalized version of E, which is pronounced eh, as in the word nha, which means plate. And then we have letter G. Letter G is just like letter B in the sense that it's a fricative. So it's not a g sound, it's a g sound, like g, as in the word huara, which means bird. And then we have letter I, which sounds always like E, as in the word ita, which means stone. You see the acute accent here, and the letter A is stressed, just as I said. Then we have, as always, a nasalized version. It sounds like E, as in the word kunumi, which means boy. And then we have a very tricky vowel, which is, well, it's not actually a vowel. Sorry, I got confused here, but it's a semi-vowel. It's pronounced like the English Y, as in the word yuka, which means to kill. Well, then we have letter K. It sounds just like as it sounds in English, like in the word kunya, which means woman. Then we have letter M, which sounds just like it sounds in English too, and as in the word marin, which means evil. And then we have mb. Well, it's basically an M with a B, just like in the English word bomb. And, well, an Old Tupi example would be the word mboya, which means snake. Then we have an N. Well, the N is just like in English, and, well, an Old Tupi example would be nambi, which means ear. And then we have an N with a D, and it's nd. Well, yeah, like in the word ndaete, which means greatly. Then we have the N with an H, which is, well, it's just like in Portuguese, and it's like the N with a tilde in Spanish. It's a palatal nasal, and it's pronounced as in nyandu-i, which means spider. Then we have N with a G. Well, N with a G is like in English, like the English word sing. And an Old Tupi example would be nyeeng. Well, the word nyeeng has many meanings. As you see here, it can mean to speak, speech, voice, word, or language. I bet it has more meanings, but I can't remember at the moment. Okay, then we have the letter O, which sounds like aw. An example would be the word oka, which means house. Then we have nasalized O, which sounds like on, as in the word mano, which means to die. Then we have P. P sounds just like its English counterpart, as in the word bu'a, which can mean literally liver or figuratively heart. Well, this is due to the fact that ancient Brazilians thought that the seat of feelings and thoughts was not the brain or the heart, it was the liver. And, well, when people say, follow your heart, well, a Tupi tribesman would rather say, follow your liver. Well, that's about it. And then we have letter R. It sounds like Spanish R, r, like in the word ro'u, which means cold. Well, and then we have the S. It sounds always like an S, like S, like in the word sukuye, which means to fear or to be afraid. Well, we have T, which sounds just like in English, as in the word Taba, which means village. Then we have U. U sounds like U, as in the word Uuva, which means arrow. And then we have nasalized U. This is difficult to pronounce. It's like as in the word moo, which means it's not a cow, it means relative. Yeah, really sounds like a cow. And then we have this letter here, which it's basically a W. And well, it sounds like a W, and an example would be the word waya, which means tail. And then we have letter X. The X sounds like an SH, sh. And an example would be she, which means I, me. Well, it's the first person pronoun. Okay. Then we have this one. This is probably one of the most tricky letters in Old Tupi. It doesn't sound like a Y. It sounds like a phoneme which is found in many South American languages and in some languages of Eastern Europe. It's pronounced like in the word which means water. Well, and then we have the last one, which is the glottal stop. It's represented by the apostrophe, and well, it's basically the little pause you have in the word ng. Well, yeah, and the word ng, as I said before, has many meanings, mostly relating to speech or language. Well, folks, that's all for today. Thanks for your patience, and sorry for the amateur quality of my video. Well, I think I'll get better at this as I make more videos, who knows. But, well, yeah, if I forgot anything, I will rectify it in the next video, which will probably be about sound changes in Old Tupi. And, well, that's all. Thank you, and see you next time.